What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody. Not only did I have my first show today on Sin Chat Corner, but I'm very, very blessed to have not only 2 musicians in one day, but one of which happens to be local. And if you've been a fan of my show before, you automatically know that I always put 100% more precedence. I shouldn't say more precedence. I put a great deal, or try to, into my local musicians. Why? Because unfortunately, in today's society, it would seem as though the non-local musicians seem to get a lot more of the revelry, and they seem to get a lot more of the acknowledgement. So I try as much as humanly possible to get all of our local guys on here. Today, I'm very blessed and fortunate because I don't think there's one living soul in the city that hasn't heard of Dr. Love before or hasn't gone to see them. So without further ado, I'm going to put Dave on the line. I would try to say his last name, but I'm afraid I'm going to butcher it. So let's get him on the line, and we'll start talking to him. Hi, Dave.
Hello, Cindy. Hello, Cindy. How are you?
You're here. I'm very nervous, and I'm very excited. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm like, well, you know, you're like a rock god, so I'm kind of like on the ground, like I'm not worthy. I can't talk to you. This is way cool.
No, couldn't be farther from the truth. I'm so down to earth, it's stupid.
You know, I've actually heard that, to tell you the truth, because a lot of times, you know, when we do these interviews, we try to go to other people and say, hey, tell me about this guy, or tell me what you know about him, or tell me about their performance, or, you know, that kind of stuff. And time again, I'm sure that you've known this or you've heard it before, people just come up with the rave reviews for you guys, nothing but great accolades, and just not just on your performance, but who you are as people. And I always find that to be resonating. I'm like, that's just absolutely amazing. People like you as people, and people like you as Kiss. That's awesome. Way awesome.
Well, and that's true, and, you know, that's one of the reasons why we do this. I mean, all 4 of us have a passion and a love for Kiss. And I think if you come to see us, the people that do that, you know, they have that same love and passion. So when we have the opportunity to meet and greet the fans either before or after a show, that really is almost as much fun as doing the show itself.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Well, that's kind of where I wanted to start the basis of this. I'm going to do a little backdrop here, and then I can ask you your very first question. Of course, over the span of time, many a band, of course, has obviously attempted to duplicate the multidimensional dynamos that I call Kiss. Each tribute band, I've noticed, carries its own special characteristics, with the one singular specialization seeming to be obvious, which is the makeup, of course, the way you guys look and the way you guys dress, of course. Many times in the past, I've asked myself, you know, I've tried to figure out the real fascination surrounding these guys, and hopefully today you can assist me in answering some of my questions. So a good starting point, I think, may be relative to this very subject. So tell our listeners your personal reason, or all 4 of you collectively, as far as electing to personify Kiss as compared to, let's say, you know, Journey or some other band. Was there a specific unified reason for this?
Well, I think part of it is the same reason why Kiss did this so many years ago, is, you know, to be the band that you never saw on stage. I mean, there's a lot of great local bands out there, you know, that are great cover bands that cover 80s music, or there are tributes to other bands, but you see a lot of them, it's blue jeans and T-shirts, which is great, and they do an awesome job doing the music, but what we want to do is not just bring the music, but bring a live show, something that people are going to remember when they go home and say, you know what, those guys brought it and gave it their all, and that's what we're trying to do every night.
And do you think that you succeeded at that? Personally. I mean, I know you do, but I'm just curious. Sometimes you're a hard critic.
Well, you know, based upon the crowd reaction we've gotten over the last 3 years, I'd say we've done pretty good with that, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I want to ask you yourself, because I'm gathering that you must have gone to, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 Kiss concerts. Can you tell me some of your fondest memories of the things you kind of picked up in watching them or in seeing them that kind of stayed with you to where you said, I want to magnify that on the stage?
Well, actually, it goes back a long time, Cindy, and I'll show my age a little bit, but the first time I saw Kiss, I saw them at the Riverside Theater in Milwaukee, and a little trio out of Canada called Rush opened the show. And I actually was going to go see Rush. I had no idea who Kiss was. In fact, we almost left during the break in between the two bands, and we decided, well, let's stick around and see who the clowns are all about, you know. And not 10 seconds into the show, they started with Deuce and blew up the stage. I was hooked right then and there, and have been a fan ever since then. And it was the theater of the whole thing that got me hooked. It wasn't just music, but it was the show.
Okay, I've gotcha. Now, did you think it was ever over the top? I know I've had some conversations with people where they're like, look at these guys. I mean, you know, you got your platform shoes, you got your certain outfit, all the makeup and all that stuff. Does it become overwhelming? Because I can imagine, you know, I'm a woman. I mean, I spend 40 minutes in the bathroom, I'm lucky, and I'm like taking this stuff out. I'm like, oh my God, these guys must sit there for hours. Doesn't that drive you nuts? Aren't you going a little insane?
You know, sometimes it can be a pain, but it's because, you know, someone's not, you know, maybe we're doing something wrong and my star's not going on the right way, or Gene's having trouble with, you know, some of his eye work, and that it gets us really irritated because we want him to look perfect, you know. So I think we're our biggest critics when it comes to how we look and how we portray the band.
Gotcha, of course. Now, had you ever had any reservations about playing the part that you played, meaning, oh, I want to be Gene or I want to be this, or was it just kind of, I picked this is what I want, that's it?
Well, no, again, back when I first saw Kiss, I mean, I was playing in local bands back at the time, you know, and I was more of a rhythm guitarist and did lead vocals, and so I already had that part in my blood. But then when I saw Paul Stanley and how he just took control of the stage and took control of the crowd, I mean, my first flying V guitar I bought was because of Paul Stanley. And moving forward in my whole musical career, I tried to emulate what he did on stage, not just as an artist, but also as a performer. And there's a difference between the two.
Oh, yes, definitely so. And in fact, Paul happens to be my favorite one out of all four of them, just so you know. And everybody gravitates to Gene, and I'm like, everyone gravitates to Gene. I mean, it's just the natural tendency, of course. But I think they're all unique with their own personalities, with their own offerings. It's wonderful. Question for you, because I'm guessing, this is an assumption, that y'all have not met the real deal, but I'm guessing that if presented the opportunity, you would jump at that. Or is there opportunity? I mean, I guess I'm wondering, like I have a friend who's in a Lynette Skynyrd band. They've met the real Lynyrd Skynyrd, of course. Do those opportunities come up for you, you think more so because you're a tribute band for Kiss, or do you just think, you know what, it's just not in the cards, it's not going to happen?
I think it's up to us individually whether we put forth the effort to do so. A couple years ago, Kiss was at Summerfest, and our Gene had a chance to do a meet and greet with them. And, you know, he was able to go backstage and chat with them for a little bit and had his picture taken with them. And, you know, so and I know that was a real high for him. Our drummer actually met Eric Singer, who's not in the original Kiss, but is today now. And I'm actually going to be meeting Paul Stanley in a couple weeks in San Diego at his book signing. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, who knows? We might meet the real band someday. We actually did a benefit a couple months ago in town here, and it was a cancer benefit. And we actually flew in a member of the Kiss family, Bob Kulick, who did a lot of studio work back in the day and toured with Paul Stanley on the solo tour. But, you know, either way, it's just so much fun to portray these guys, and if we get to meet them, it's even better.
Oh, definitely, I would say so. And in your perception, and then we'll move on to something else here, in terms of your band itself, approximately how close do you think that you mimic the originals in terms of both sound and appearance, if I were to ask you? Because I've asked your fans already, and they're unanimous. But, you know, you're, again, your own worst critic, so, or best critic, I should say, so you tell me.
Well, I think, you know, there's so many different aspects of the show that we'll critique whether, you know, how did we look that night from a performance, you know, I mean, as far as our makeup, how did our costumes look, was our choreography on key, did we miss any vocal parts, you know, so I think, you know, if we put the whole thing together, I mean, number one, we put a lot of money and effort into what our stage looks like. We have a lot of custom-made costumes, you know, so it's not stuff you're going to find in a Halloween store. You know, so we try to make it look good, sound right. I mean, we work on, I mean, I even try to emulate Paul's, you know, Brooklyn accent and, you know, get his lingo down. Our Gene's got the stick down. And so I guess you have to see us and be your own judge.
Oh, definitely. I think the best representation of you is obviously you, walking into a room, seeing how you guys do what you do and that kind of good stuff. Of course, I agree 100%. Okay, I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about your background, you personally. I know that South Division High School served to suit your educational endeavors, yet sadly I lack some knowledge as it relates to if and where your mentoring musically had occurred, meaning, have you had, secondary education, et cetera? And then second of all, can you list to all of us just all the vocalizations and instruments at this point in time that you're versed in? Because sometimes, you could be in a band, but that doesn't mean you're limited by just that.
Great question. I actually come from a very musical family. My father played drums and guitar. My mother played drums, believe it or not, and keyboards, accordion. My grandfather was a guitar player. So it was in my blood. And my first instrument was actually drums. And I started out probably about 8 years old playing drums. And, I gravitated slowly to the guitar because that's what my father's first passion was. And it was probably about 9 to 10 years old I really started getting into it. And then I never took lessons. I was self-taught. By ear, back in the day, we didn't have tablets here or things like that, and guitar lessons weren't, financially in the cards for our family. So I just did the best I could to teach myself. By the time I got to high school, I met people who had the same passion as I did. And, we had our own basement band, garage band, and we kind of grew from there, and, fast forward, here I am.
Oh, goodness. Now, one of the questions that I like to ask, and only because I'm just curious, because I hear this from national musicians and local musicians, cut it down to the family. And when I say family, obviously, of course, I know that you have your own extended family now. But back in the day, you're in high school, and all of a sudden you're looking at this, and you're like, Mom and Dad, I want to be a musician. Isn't that rad? And they're kind of like, really? Go get a real job, doctor, lawyer, et cetera. Were they emphasizing and saying, yes, we'll support you no matter what, even if you flop on this? Or was it kind of like, yeah, you need to get a 9-to-5er?
No, actually, well, first of all, my father died at a young age, so I was raised by my mother for the most part, but she was 100% behind everything I wanted to do. I mean, we had band practice in her basement, which I knew wasn't her favorite thing, but she put up with it. So she always encouraged me to what I wanted to do, get your gear, I'll take you to the next gig, borrow me money to buy my next guitar, and so on. So she was always there to support everything I was trying to do.
Oh, that's amazing. And now, obviously, of course, you're a grown-up, and I'm assuming that she's a grown-up, and therefore, is she participating and active and coming to the shows and encouraging you on and saying, that's my boy?
Well, unfortunately, my mother passed away a couple of years ago, so, but I know she's...
Oh, goodness, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But for what it's worth, my family now, with my wife and my children, they're big supporters of the whole thing as well. So, I mean, that, I still have that family support there.
That's wonderful, absolutely. And I think that builds kind of on the foundation of everything. I mean, you think if you've got family support, friend support, just out of comes full circle. And honestly, I've been told, and I'm sure you concur with this, a lot of times when you're in a band as tight as this, you become almost like a band of brothers, if you will. So I would guess that Dr. Love is really one big happy family, or I should say happy family most of the time, because as I understand it, musicians might have an argument now and then. Does that happen in Dr. Love, or is there peace and harmony all the time?
That's a great question. Today's lineup, and we've been through a couple of changes in our existence, but today's lineup we have now, we've got 4 guys who really get this thing, and we all get along very well. I don't think we've had one disagreement over anything, and if we've had one, it probably lasted about 15 seconds, and
wow.
These guys are like brothers to me. Our bass player, Gene, our Gene, his name is John, we've actually become very good friends, and we'll talk at least 3 to 4 times a week, and not just about Kiss and the band, but just, life in general, how's the family, how's the job, and, stuff like that. But, we get along great, and our crew that works with us, they're all behind us 100%, and it is like an extended family. So, yeah, it's a good time.
Nice. Very nice. All right, now we're going to shift gears once again, because I tend to do that in my interviews, but I think it makes for a nice introspectful back, front, and sideways. It always makes me a bit sad when I find out that musicians, and this is either local and also on a national level, sometimes must maintain a daily side job as compared to being solely into their passion, of course. Now, I understand that you have a day job.
Yes.
Okay, and you're actually a president, according to your profile, if I'm not mistaken. He's a big president.
Yeah, that's the big title I get. That's why I get paid the big money, they tell me. But, no, I'm involved in sales. Yeah. I'm involved in sales. I've been doing that for, over 25 years, and it's just something I enjoy doing. It's getting in front of people. It's not much different than playing in a band. I mean, you get in front of people, and you entertain people, and you're sharing with them what you love doing. And for me, whether I'm on stage playing, guitar, or I'm out making a sales call in front of my customer, I'm trying to deliver the passion of something I love, and hopefully they enjoy it too. So, and so far it's been working.
Okay, wonderful. Now, of course, just to dig a little bit deeper here, of course, as you had prefaced earlier, you're obviously a husband and you're obviously a father. I understand that you have 2 girls. And rumor has it that you're a grandpa. Oh, my God, because I thought you were like 40. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, no, he's a grandpa. I'm like, what? When did this happen?
No. Yeah, I got married when I was 10. So,
good luck with that.
Yeah, I became a grandfather this past fall. My oldest daughter, Michelle, gave birth to an awesome baby boy named Brady, and he's just been the joy of all of our lives. And, who knows? He may be the next star child. You never know.
Oh, I was just going to say it. Do you have, that tendency to want to go over there and, put a little makeup on him and make him, be a little kiss person? I could just see this. That would just be so darling. Go ahead.
I've been tempted. In fact, he already has 3 kiss outfits he got from Grandpa.
How darling is that? That's absolutely amazing. Now, in listening to that, I have to ask myself the obvious question, or ask you, I should say. How does one effectuate all of these lifelines without chaos ensuing? Because obviously I know I juggle multi-things with having a family, kids, shows, all that stuff. You have all this stuff that's going on. And how do you effectuate all of this to where nothing falls apart and it doesn't just go nuts at your household or in the band?
Well, number one, I think you have to be organized and be able to prioritize. And, as much as I love doing the KISS thing, it's not the most important thing in my life. I mean, that starts at home with my wife and my children. So you have to put things in perspective. That's where it starts. And I do have a job. I do have responsibilities, to support my family. And then, but for doing the band, that's my hobby. I mean, that's what I love doing. Some guys invest a lot of time and money into golf and their equipment and fishing and things like that. Well, this is what I do. And, we make a couple bucks along the way doing it, and we have a great time.
That's absolutely awesome. And the thing is, too, I think if it's everything that you love, it just makes it easier to try to juggle it because that motivation is there to, I'm going to master this and do this and fit this in and all that good stuff. Now, again, you're in a KISS tribute band, so I got to ask this question because you have daughters. So I say to myself, all right, so here's Dave, and he's in what I would call the proverbial band of bad boys, right? So I'm thinking, here he is showing his kids. Here I am. I'm in the biggest, baddest bad boy band there is. Did you ever worry about that and think to yourself, oh, look, my daughter's going to gravitate to this because Dad's in this and all that good stuff. So I thought I'd kind of throw that out there, like, well, Dad's in a band and all this stuff. And did the girls ever kind of gravitate to musicians and things in part because of what you do?
No, they haven't. But, the funny thing is before I even got into a KISS tribute band, I took my oldest daughter to see KISS on their reunion tour. So that was her first exposure to KISS. And then we saw them maybe 2 years later, no one even knowing I would be doing what I'm doing today. So she was exposed to that, and then my younger daughter got her taste of it after that. And then when I decided to get into this, they said, geez, Dad, don't you think you might be a little bit old to do that? I go, yeah, look at the guys in KISS and tell me about that, so.
Oh, my goodness, look at that. The mouth of babes, so to speak, no matter what age they are. How funny. Okay, I wanted to touch on a side note. And hopefully, I'm not treading on too thin of water here, but I am a huge and staunch supporter of being inspirational to other people. So I usually try to highlight some of the things that I think might be passed along effectively to others. And to those that are listening that might not know, one of the things that unfortunately we all have to live with is some people get sick and some people don't. And in your particular case, you're a cancer survivor. So I'm wondering if maybe you could just speak a little bit about your experiences and how it's made you a different person and how it affected your music.
Diagnosed with cancer back in 2005, and I wasn't even playing in band at the time. because my life, took on different priorities with work and home and, other things. So once I was able to get through all of that, I mean, I give all thanks to God for, number one, healing me from that, but, to kind of get a second opportunity of life. And it was probably 6 months after I went through everything, I decided I'm going to get back into music. And I did that. I was just playing, local cover bands and, getting home at 3, 4 in the morning to put $50 in my pocket for free Heineken. Not that there's anything wrong with free Heineken, but it became stale real fast. So I just said, you know what? I have the second chance of life. I want to do something I've always wanted to do, and that was to form a KISS tribute band. KISS was always my favorite band. I was very passionate about it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it, and I did.
That's awesome. Absolutely amazing. Just as a side note, if there happens to be anybody that's listening in now or will listen, obviously, because this becomes an archived episode, so people can listen to this all year round. If someone's life or their family's life is being affected by this same sort of thing, what advice would you give to them, or what knowledge would you pass on to them, maybe as some form of solace?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, I said, God's in charge here, so I'm going to give it all to Him. And my motto in life right now is don't worry about things you can't control. If you have a strong belief, you have a good support system around with your family, don't take any sickness someone's giving you as a death sentence. Be positive about it. Try to find some good out of whatever's going on in your life and spin it around and take it to the next level and do something good with what you've been dealt with.
Absolutely wonderful. I've noticed that. I've had, multitudes of friends that have suffered from cancers of all sorts, and I've noticed that the one resonating factor that's similar to everyone is the positivity. And that shocks me and bewilders me in a good way, that you could be so positive despite the fact that you have such a serious ailment. So kudos to you, my friend. My hat's off to you on that. That's truly inspiring. Thank you. You're quite welcome. Oh, of course. I noticed that, in doing my research, that traditionally in the past, I see that your band has kindly shared the stage with some of our local lovelies that we have. Like, for instance, of course, Stereotype, I know, was at Pistol Pete's, of course, with you guys. I know that Pieces of Love is coming up. I'm wondering, now, is this the status quo for your band, meaning that, for each particular appearance that typically you're asking a second one to come along? And further, how do you think that it adds to the overall show?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, if you look at what we do as a KISS Tribute Act, we try to bring a true concert environment to every show. Most of the bands out there, they're contracted for 4 hours, and that's just not what we do. And I don't think anybody would try to do what we do for 4 hours straight. I mean, number one, the makeup, the costumes, not to mention 7-inch heels on for 4 hours. We would need wheelchairs by then. So we try to make it a true concert environment. And, by the time we take the stage, we want that crowd to be as jazzed up as they possibly get. And every band we've had open for us has been able to help us accomplish that. We've done shows with a lot of other tribute acts because that seems to go well. We did one recently with a Rush tribute act, and it kind of brought back the 75, 76 era of KISS by having them do that. And we had a great time.
That's wonderful. Okay, now we come to the point in our interview where we're actually going to talk some more about Dr. Love, because obviously we need to do some homage, as I say, because unfortunately we can't have all the band members here, and sometimes that tends to happen because you guys have lives and other things going on. So I kind of want to delve into a few different things here. I know that it's a rarity in our city. There's very few folks that can state that they've neglected to see Dr. Love live. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, everybody that I've come across has heard of you, seen you, if not both. Oftentimes, the reaction is one of reverence as well as gratitude for the leaps and bounds that you take, and that's inclusive of every member, to mimic the moguls in the best possible manner. So I've got just a slew of random questions as it relates to you guys. First off, I want to kind of start, we've talked about you a little bit, maybe do a brief summary about each of the other cast, I'm okay. Hello, you're not an actor, you're a musician. Maybe a short rundown of each of the musicians that are in the band, and then you tell me why they make Dr. Love unique and exemplify quality. I mean, what contributions do they bring to the table, each of the other three? Okay,
I'll start with our Gene. I actually found him on Craigslist 3 years ago. A friend of his saw an ad I put on that we were looking for, our gene, our demon, if you will. But it had to be somebody who understood what it was all about. And, John sent me an email with himself in costume in his garage, donning the 7-inch tongue, and had the wingspan of Gene Simmons. And it was like, is that really you or is that Gene? And then we met for dinner and had a beer, and we just talked about Kiss in general. And I thought I knew a lot about Kiss. He made me seem stupid. I mean, he's just a uber nerd when it comes to Kiss and their knowledge. And have somebody with that passion, you can't find that. You can't pay somebody to have that kind of passion and knowledge the way he does. So, we'll look at certain things and watch videos, different versions of different songs that they've done live. And John will just be able to give perspective on things and say, we should do this, and this is why they did it that way, blah, 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 blah. And lo and behold, we do, and it makes it better. So he's been a godsend and a great friend ever since he's joined the band. And then our ace.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. He is in John, last name. Some people can look him up if necessary. Yeah.
John Romanovich is his last name.
Okay.
And,
gotcha. Okay.
What a great guy. Great friend, and just ultimate Kiss fan, and just does a great job of being Gene Simmons on stage. And then our ace Freely is Matt Schrader, and Matt, more recently was known as lead guitar player in the Barbies. And he played with the Barbies for about 10 years, I believe. But unbeknownst to any of us, was the ultimate Ace Frehley fan. He had the Kiss lunchbox and the makeup when he was 8 years old, and jumping around all over his house. And he looks like Ace, he acts like Ace, and more importantly, he plays just like Ace. And he's been a great find for the band as well. Our drummer, on the other hand, guy by the name of Quentin Kufal, and this guy was raised on Kiss by his father, and saw his first Kiss concert, I believe, when he was 5 years old, and has been playing drums ever since. Emulates Peter Criss and Eric Singer, so depending upon the song we're doing, and just the ultimate Kiss fan. And you go into his house, and he has room in his house where it's like a Kiss shrine, whether it's multiple pieces of clothing, posters, busts, statues, bobbleheads. I mean, it's like he prays to Kiss every night just about. And but there again, to do something like this, you need 4 guys who are that passionate about a band. I mean, you might have guys who do an Alice Cooper tribute, for example, but I doubt if they have everything about Alice Cooper hung up in their house. It's something about Kiss where it's just a whole other world. You know what I mean?
Sure. Oh, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I do. And obviously there's no I in team, so collectively it needs the 4 of you, clearly, to make, the entire personification of the band. Okay. I'd like you to just kind of give us, a short history as it relates to, now that you found these guys, how did you formulate this? And talk to us a little bit about how the last 3 years have gone as far as that kind of stuff. Because I know the competition can be very stiff. There's a lot of cover bands in the city. How do you go from taking this idea and making it, making it work, making it a success?
Well, when we finally got the band off the ground, just around 3 years ago, with the original lineup, we rehearsed probably about 3 months, and then we did our first show, which was a private event. It was closed to the public. We invited close family and friends and some Asians and things like that. And our objective was to not do the local club scene, but we wanted to play, casinos, small theaters, things like that. And although that's still our thought, we haven't been able to fulfill it 100%. We've done some shows like that. We've done larger outdoor festivals. I mean, Summerfest. We did the Harley-Davidson 110th last year, which is a blast. Local Lions Fest and all kinds of things like that. But, to your point, there is a lot of competition out there. And, Milwaukee isn't really the music capital of the world, so it's even tougher. And it's a blue-collar town. People, when they go out, they want their entertainment dollar to be maxed out. They want to be able to get as much value as they can for the money, which brings me back to my comments before that when we do put on a show, we'll really get their money's worth, you know. And that's always what KISS led by, too. You know, so as we look around, you know, and say, where's the next venue we want to go to, or what town do we want to go to next? How do we change the show? How do we keep it fresh? Because we don't want people to come to a show and say, oh, watch this, they're going to do this song next and this song, and then they're going to do that song later, then they'll finish, you know. So we try to keep people on their toes, even the people who have come to see almost every show we've ever done. And for that, it makes it challenging for us every time to make sure we put on a good show, not just for the fans, but also for the venue, because we want them to make money, we want them to bring us back, and if we're successful doing that, then everybody wins.
Of course. I agree with you 100%. Now, on to the next thing. As far as, obviously, I wish I could say that you're the only tribute band in town or in the world, but clearly you are not. So I'm just curious as to how familiar you are with the other KISS tribute bands, or would you have any willingness, and this is in general, whether it's here, somewhere else, etc., would you want to perform side by side with another tribute band or collectively together? And are you familiar, like I said, with the other locals or other tribute bands?
Other tribute bands or other KISS tribute bands or both?
Yeah, KISS tribute bands. I think we should keep it specific to you guys, obviously.
Yeah. Well, ironically, I'll start with a band that was here a number of years ago called Dynasty. I think they started out probably 10 or 12 years ago, and they just banded maybe 5 years ago. And they actually had a very good following. They, did a good job. In fact, their original drummer wound up being in Dr. Love for about 6 months. And then he had some health issues and they had to move on. But I know there's another band out there today. And in fact, I talked to somebody from their camp earlier this morning, believe it or not. And, they have their objectives, what they're trying to do, and venues and areas they want to play. We're doing the same thing. Would we want to play side by side with them? I'd have no problem doing it, but I don't think it would make sense for either one of us to do that. I wouldn't see the point. I'd rather have them do their thing and, draw their crowd and their fans wherever they decide to go, and we'll do our thing and do the same thing. I mean, we have other bands that we like to have play with us, and, and we'll continue to do that. But for what it's worth, I know some of the people in that other band, and they're good players, they're good musicians. Some of them have been doing it for a long time, and I wish them nothing but the best.
And that's awesome, and that's a great attitude to have, as a matter of fact. We're going to address something like that a little further in the interview here. 2 more simple questions I have relative to this, I should say. First of all, as it relates to, with anything, obviously, I have my own, as I call it, study time, and I assume you guys have study time. Approximately how much time would you say that you've invested in studying? And when I say that, I mean not just watching live performance, but just looking at costumes, investing time into researching, all that stuff. How much time does it really take to duplicate to a T as much as humanly possible? How much of that is study time?
I don't know, because I'm not done yet.
Good answer.
All kidding aside, when I first started wanted to put this band together, the first thing I did was started researching other KISS tribute bands around the country. I knew everything there was to know about KISS, have tons of DVDs and video on KISS, and can watch that till I'm blue in the face and never have a problem. But I want to look at other tribute bands and see how they did it. I knew I could never do what KISS does, okay? But let me look at everyone else who's doing it and see how good they're doing and try to do them one up. How good is this band here in Kansas City? Well, they look good, but maybe their music is off. This band in, Oklahoma, they sound great, but their costumes look really bad. So it was things like that. And, I looked at all of it and said, okay, here's a good part there, here's a good part there. How can I make it better? And number one, you have to do the music right, okay? We work a lot on making sure the music's tight. Our vocals are tight. Choreography is a big part of it. The costumes got to look right. I see a lot of stuff out there on YouTube by other bands. God bless them all for the effort, but I think they lack, the passion that we have, because it shows in what we put into our costumes, into our stage show, into our guitars, our equipment. We try to come as close as we can to what KISS does. And but we're always trying to make it better. I mean, I'm going to be wearing a new costume this Saturday night at their show in Kenosha, and it's just because I'm trying to do something different, something better.
Right. Gotcha. That makes sense. Would that be the costume that I saw on your Facebook page? Just checking. Because I saw a jacket of some sort as I was perusing on your page.
Yeah, it was actually Paul Stanley's Love Running costume. Sorry.
Oh, my God, really? Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, one last question relative as far as that goes. Have you watched their reality show? And if so, do you have any thoughts on it?
Gene Simmons, Sailor Jewel?
Yeah. Have you watched it?
Oh, absolutely. Every episode.
Did you really? What are your real thoughts on that?
Well, it's like all reality shows. They're half scripted.
What? Okay, I knew you were going to say that. Okay.
But you know what? Being a Kiss fan, it's kind of fun to watch, how rock stars live. I mean, I saw, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister had a show on. Obviously, Ozzy Osbourne started the whole thing with, music and reality. But, it has good times. It has fun things on there, and you learn some behind-the-scenes things. And, some of the things that Gene did on there are very real and very passionate. I mean, the things that he's done for the military and other charitable organizations, so he gives back, and Kiss of Oz gives back. And, we try to do it in the same way. Just like we did this cancer benefit a couple months ago, and we raised several $1,000s and gave all the money to the Medical College of Wisconsin in their cancer research clinic.
Okay. That's amazing. It's amazing, I think. In fact, we should probably stay on that caveat because we're going to head in that direction, so let's do that. Obviously, you mentioned the cancer benefit. Maybe could you just detail to our listeners or the fans that are listening in, because they may not be as familiar with you as I am, in the past, over the last 3 years, what other benefits or what other things have you delved into from a charity standpoint that you've lent your talents to?
Well, I've done stuff behind the scenes for cancer, with the Medical College of Wisconsin. Things that, no one's really going to know about, just things I want to do just to kind of get back, because I felt they did a lot for me. But then, I actually spoke at a fundraiser they had, and one of my doctors said, if you ever want to do something, we'd be behind you 100%. And you know what? The wheels started clicking right away. So talked to the rest of the guys in the band. I said, I'd love to do a cancer benefit and just kind of give back to, the place that took care of me. And it was about a 5 month process to put it all together. Working with the medical college, we hooked up with Reuters as the venue to hold the event, and they did a great job for us. We had a lot of sponsors come through, local music stores donating guitars, and the production people, donating their time and energy to the whole thing. And it was a great event. We had a great turnout, and, we might make it an annual event. We'll see.
Okay. Gotcha. And, of course, only time will tell that clearly. One thing I want to turn to, and I always solicit the opinions of my guests on this, musical guests, as it relates to this, meaning the musical scene here locally. Since I am typically a supporter and certainly not a songstress, I can't sing to save my damn life, which is thank God for you guys, because I'd be lost. I want you to, if you could, explain your view on this, and this could be somewhat controversial, but I'm really good at stirring the pot, so we'll see what you think. There's obviously, as you mentioned, a plethora of talent in Milwaukee, meaning you've got your acoustical solos, you've got people that are in bands, you've got people that are in cover bands. Talk to us a little bit about, because you're in a cover band, obviously, as compared to the originals. I noticed that folks have a split in their perception on popularity versus originality. A lot of times people gravitate to the fact of, well, you're in a cover band, so of course you're going to be more popular. People recognize that music, as compared to an acoustical soloist, because they're going to be less popular. People don't recognize them, and they're less willing to open to new music. So here, for Milwaukee purposes, what do you see? Because I know that you have friends on both sides of the fence. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, that's a great question. And, being from Milwaukee, as I said before, it's not a big music, area in this country. But what blows me away is the amount of talent in this town. I mean, I know I have a lot of friends of mine who are in this industry that do the cover thing that you just mentioned. I know guys who have original bands who do a great job. In fact, we've done shows with them. I have guys who do acoustic shows. Michael Sean's a guy who comes to mind. Gabriel Sanchez does a lot of stuff. Zeno from Bad Boy. And you know what? If you like music, you're going to enjoy no matter what you're hearing. If you just open your mind a little bit. Doesn't matter if you like Kiss or don't like Kiss, or you like 80s hair metal, or, you know, blues or country rock. There's a lot of talent in this town, and I think more and more people should go out and support it, because I don't think they realize how much talent is in the city of Milwaukee.
Oh, I agree with you. Now, second of all, and the second question, or second part I should say to this, and I've heard this, well, word of mouth I've heard this, so we'll see what the musician thinks. Again, cover band as it relates to cover band versus acoustical, of course, again. I've noticed that there are some, and I won't mention their names, of course, as it relates to the cover bands. The acousticals find that, you know, cover bands make more money, cover bands get more exposure, cover bands don't have to necessarily cover the door. You know, I'm sure you remember back in the day when you're an acoustical musician, to get in the door sometimes they required, you know, you got to get so many people here, da-da-da-da-da. You know, do you think that the town is kind of slanted, and this could be in general, could be here, Chicago, et cetera. Are they just more slanted to your type of arrangement, only because of the fact that they're guaranteed more of a crowd and more popularity?
I think to a point they are, Cindy, because as I said before, you know, when people go out, you know, they're going to look at the money they have to spend to go be entertained, and I think they're looking for the biggest bang for the buck. You know, and no disrespect to any of the acoustic acts out there, because they're good, but I think people want to see as much as they can for the dollar. You know, so it's all about value. What can I get for my $8 or $10 cover charge? You know, they can go to a lot of venues during the week and, you know, go grab a bite to eat or a glass of wine and see a very good acoustical act, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think come the weekend, they want to let their hair down and, you know, just rock out. And I think that's why more people will gravitate toward the cover or tribute act.
Gotcha. Of course. Okay. Now I've got two more questions for you, and then we're going to go ahead and play, obviously, one of your songs, because we would like individuals to hear what you actually do on stage, as if anybody hasn't heard you already, right? Because, like, everyone has gone to see you already. First question I want to ask before we go ahead and play your music. If there are individuals that are listening, and that could be somebody that's a little younger, could be somebody that's our age or older, any wisdom you want to pass along to them? Because a lot of times people have a passion or yearning to want to get into this field, but of course it's so cutthroat and competitive depending on the market, it's tough. So what would you suggest to somebody that's kind of itching their head and thinking, yeah, I want to do this, yeah, I don't want to do this? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, if you enjoy it, don't let anybody tell you you can't do it, okay? You know, live the dream. I mean, why not? But I think it's important to not take it too serious. You know, make it a passion of yours. You know, if you want to make it a career, you know, then go for it. Who says you can't do it? But, you know, have fun with it. You know, let it be your hobby. Let it be your outlet in life. And, you know, that's how I look at it. I mean, I have a job. I have a family. But music is my outlet. That's my stress release, if you will. You know, and for some people, that's all you need. For others who want to make it a career, you know what? Go for it. You know, live the dream, man. Just make it happen.
That's awesome. Absolutely wonderful advice. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to give you like 4 minutes to rest yourself and 4 minutes for me to rest myself, and you can all guess what I'm going to play for you now. In fact, all of you have gone to see them play, so I want to play one of their favorite songs. So I'll take a break, and let's play some music from Dr. Love.
Dr. Love! Let me see your hands!
Did you hear yourself? Pretty impressive, isn't it?
That was fun.
That must be really surreal to hear yourself. I mean, I know as a radio host, I very rarely will ever go back and listen to myself. I just don't do it. I'm like, I don't want to hear what I sound like. So I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with not listening. So it's kind of a really surreal feeling. But you guys are just, you're awesome. You rock. You sound just like the identical, obviously, but I'm sure you hear this all of the time. There's just a couple of things I wanted to touch base on before I let you go, because you have a wife and a wife to get to, along with a family, so I don't want to keep you too terribly long. First thing I wanted to do is please tell the listening audience all the means and ways in which they can get in contact with you social media-wise.
All right, number one, our website is MilwaukeeKiss.com. You can find a lot of cool stuff on there, bios on the band, song list where we're playing, a lot of cool photographs, things like that. And then, of course, on Facebook, we're at facebook.com/MilwaukeeKiss. That's the best way to get a hold of us, find out what's going on, keep up to date with what the band's doing. And then this Saturday night, we're playing at the Broad Stop in Kenosha. Pieces of Lead, excellent Led Zeppelin tribute band from the area, will be opening up for us. And we're looking forward to another great show and hopefully a good turnout. So come on out.
Gotcha. Now, one other side question to that, of course, because sometimes local bands, like I know Eddie Bucks, I'm a huge supporter of them, for instance. Sometimes you can have those guys do private parties and such. Do you guys go outside of the mainstream, which is you don't do just gigs, you do personal things, private things, etc.? Maybe tell the listening audience about that, if you do it, that is.
Yeah, we're actually available to do anything. I mean, for people who enjoy what we do and would like to have us for, a private event, we've done some things in the past where we've gone out for corporate events, not performing just musically, but just to make an appearance and do things, So if somebody wants to have a birthday party and have us show up just to entertain their guests, or a wedding or graduation or a private concert, let us know. We're here.
That's absolutely awesome. Okay, we've got just a few more business things to wrap up. We did okay, you think? Was I too rough on you? Was I okay? Was this all right?
Cindy, you know what? I had no clue what your questions were going to be all about, so I just kept an open mind, and you made me feel very relaxed and comfortable, so thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome, actually. Like I said, I mentioned right before I put you on the air, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm always so nervous about Milwaukee people because, like I said, most of the time it's the people outside of Milwaukee that usually are used to the press and the accolades and things like that. And it's important to me because people might not know who you are. And obviously anybody that goes back and listens to this now will get to know who you are, what you're all about, and that kind of good stuff. And that's kind of what I'm here for. I wish I had more time to do local music. This was kind of squeezed in to begin with a lot of times, and it kind of stinks because I wish I had more time. So I want to cover just a couple quick things, and I'll let you go. First of all, you can let your listeners and fans know, as well as I will go ahead and post this on my personal page and my show page. If not tonight, tomorrow. I'm terribly far behind this week. I'll list all of your information so that everybody can see the show information, the band information, and then more importantly, as I mentioned, anytime all year round, you guys can go back at some point in time and listen to this interview because about a half hour after this show, it becomes archived. So anybody can go in and listen anytime that they want to. In case you haven't listened to the interviews in the past, and I'm not sure if this interests you guys, but I'll throw it out there. This year, I just, a couple months ago, released my last book, which is, of course, showcasing all of my last guests for the last 2 years. If I make it to this year alive, I might very well do this again, meaning if a year from now comes along and I come back to Dave and I say, hey, do you guys want to be in a book? I'm not sure if that would be something that would interest you. This would be my 5th book, and then you would be asked to be showcased in this book, and I would love if you would think about it, at least ponder it over, because I like showcasing my guests as much as humanly possible. So that's another possibility. Just throwing that out there. And last but not least, in case you haven't, oh, awesome. I didn't even have to beg. Did you hear that? He didn't even make me beg. That's awesome. Last but not least, I always take the last 30 to 60 seconds, and this is a tradition on Sue's Chat Corner, to tell you exactly what I think of you. That means you can't answer. You can't say anything. Most of the time people have mixed reactions to this, so hopefully I'm able to encapsulate you for the next 60 seconds in a good way. But these are just my impressions of me being the host of the person that came on my show, and these are my impressions of Dave. And unfortunately, I have yet to meet him in person. My expectation is that if Saturday I have a casting call and I can race back into Milwaukee before my birthday party, I could just pop in to see Dr. Love on Saturday. And that would be very quickly, but I'm going to try. So I've never met Dave before. So these are impressions that are all off the cuff based on research, information from your friends, your family, and people that have seen you. So collectively, to Dave and the entire Dr. Love band, this is what I have to say to you. Obviously, I have the utmost of respect of any local musician, whether it's acoustical or whether it's in a cover band. The difference that distinguishes you, in all four of you, I might say collectively, is you're all recognizable to the public here. And by that I mean there's tons of times that you can walk up and say, hey, I know a local musician. But these people that watch you and follow you, that are your friends and fans, know you. And they know you on a personal level, and they respect you personally, and they respect you professionally. First of all, it's very impressive to me. Second of all the footage or the information that I've been given by you is all very refreshing. It's, yes, there's 100 tribute bands that are out there. And yes, I tend to favor local. But what's different about you guys is that, again, it's the humble factor. I find 9 times out of 10 the guys that are from Milwaukee are humble. They don't take themselves too seriously, in which case you guys don't. You're not out there pounding the pavement and saying, I'm going to be the next greatest and biggest thing, which I hope that you are, by the way. But you're all very humble and surreal and very honest about your opinions and about where you want to go and what you want to do with this band. You do your homework, that's very evident. You're very polite. You're very accommodating. And what I like about you is the fact that you are so meticulous about your passion to the point where you want everything to be perfect. And I wish everybody was like that all the time. It's amazing. You're impressive because you're a survivor. You're impressive because you're taking your life and you're taking every passion that you have and you're abundant within it. And for me, there's no greater celebrity than that. So today and all week long, you're my #1 celebrity, because any person that excels professionally and personally, to me, hands down, should be recognized. So it was my honor to get to spend a whole hour with you, because I'm the lucky person here. And I wish you well, and I hope that I can help you out again and again and again as the year goes along. And anything that I can do to help you in the band, I'm here for you. How's that?
Cindy, thank you so much. Those are very kind words. It was a pleasure talking with you. I really enjoyed this, and I'd love to do it again sometime.
Oh, that would be absolutely awesome. Yes, definitely. You have an open invitation, like I said, and certainly, you know, I try to accommodate. Now that I have the 3 shows, it's a little bit harder. Timing's a little tough, but we can always squeeze in something, even if it's just a half an hour. I just felt that, you know what, I'm not going to cut you any shorter than an hour, because you can't do justice to somebody within 15 or 20 minutes. You know, you need to have 45 minutes or an hour. So I'm sorry that I kept you. I'm sorry to your wife if you're listening, and I'm so sorry that I kept your husband. And thank you so much, because your wife was instrumental in helping me here, and I appreciate that. So kudos to her, too, by the way. So I'll let you go, my darling. You have a wonderful night. I hope to see you on Saturday, and if not, certainly keep me posted on your future events, and I will definitely show up.
Will do. Thanks for everything, Cindy. Have a great night.
All right, sweetie. You too. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, folks. That was Dave of Dr. Love Milwaukee Tribute Band. Was he kick-ass or what? I don't even know one other word I can describe besides kick-ass. That's how amazing it was. My thanks to him again, obviously, and of course I wish all 4 of the band members were able to be coming on, but sadly, unfortunately, people do have lives, and I understand that. Well, this is my 2 shows for one day. I think I've earned myself a glass of wine and a nice meal, which I'm going to go out and do with a good friend of mine. I hope you guys enjoy your evening. Please, please do not forget, major interview tomorrow. Not that today or any other day isn't, because I value all my celebrities as celebrities, as you know. Big-time actor tomorrow. We got Mr. Carl Marino coming on, Homicide Hunter. If all you guys haven't watched it or listened to it, get on Facebook, find Carl Marino, go ahead and check out his website, carlmarino.net. More importantly, go out and watch Homicide Hunter, which is on I will go ahead and I'll post the information. It's going to be on 5 o'clock Central Time tomorrow. What's going to happen is I'm going to interview him for the first 45 minutes, and then I'll leave it open for the next 30 minutes for interview questions as it relates to his career, his life, his everything. So please, tomorrow, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. And again, as always, thank you so much to every one of you for listening in. I appreciate it, because without you, I would not have a show. You guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk again tomorrow.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really? Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really? Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.